So this is a Honda FS6, I believe they call it. It's a GL 1500 six-cylinder Valkyrie from back in the day. I think the first year was 96 or 7, I'm not sure on that. 6 carburetors, 6 cylinders. It's a boxer. It's out of the Goldwing, except unlike the Goldwing, this has 6 carburetors. The Goldwing has 2. Liquid cooled. Big bike. This is a lot of bike. Even by big bike standards, this is a lot of bike. I think the only one you could get that was probably bigger would maybe be a Boss Haas, you know, with the V8 Chevy engine in it. This thing is quite big. They had 2 flavors of this. You had an Interstate, and then they just had the stripped down version. This is the Interstate. Came with bags, side bags, trunk. Came with a little leg guards, windshield, etc., etc. So pretty cool bike, though. I mean, it's got a lot of, it's got plenty of you know, presence, I guess you could say. Just wanted to show a few things on the bike. It's how do you get the seat off, for example. You stick the key in there, and then you just turn it, and the front seat pops right off. There's a clip in the back, and you just lift it out of the clip position. Oil change is one of the easiest bikes ever to do oil changes on. It's got the filter right under here. There's a drain plug right under there, 17 millimeter. It takes, I don't know, about 5 liters or so. The fill plug is right there. To synchronize the carburetors, that's underneath this plate. There's 2 screws under here, and then there's these in behind. There's these provisions where you can stick a mercury manometer, not a mercury manometer, but you know, a carburetor synchronization gauge, vacuum gauge on them. So really easy. The tank comes off. There's a bolt under the seat here, and then there's a bolt at the top, and then there is this thing here. There's a screw deep down in here. It's a number 2 Phillips screw. Stick it all the way down, unscrew it, and then it's also bolted right there. And then the fuel valve will come off. There's a fuel petcock under here, and then there's a vacuum line attached to it, and of course the fuel line. And that's it, really. The tank comes off, seat comes off. Really easy to do maintenance on this bike. So, and you know, that's one of the nice things about these bikes is that when the maintenance is easy to do, people do indeed do the maintenance. So, you know, a lot of bikes that are difficult or expensive to do maintenance on, people just simply don't do them, and then they suffer from neglect, and they don't age very well. I mean, these things don't age very well. Beginning with those vacuum lines, I just replaced them last night. There's 2 vacuum lines that go up to what's called a pair valve, and then that controls the crankcase breathing. So when the engine's running, it sucks it open and then allows the engine to breathe. Those lines rot, and so you'll get rough running, that sort of thing. So a bike this old, 23 years, this is the year 2023 when the video was made, and it's 2000, so 23 years, and all the lines were rotten. These are the caps I took off of under here. I just put a vacuum hose. I put a screw on the end if you're short on a cap, but you can see the condition of the original caps. They were rotten, and same with the vacuum lines. They're rotten and sucking air. And when they're sucking air and you got a vacuum leak, well, it'll never run very good. So nice bike. It's got big tires, big engine, big fairing, big everything. And they're heavy. Holy shit, are they heavy. And they're like after a day of riding, and you're kind of tired, and you go to maneuver this thing around a parking lot. There's a reason why the Goldwings came with reverse. This one doesn't come with reverse. The Goldwings do, and it's not something in the engine. What they do is they hook it up to the starter, and then there's a gear on the starter to reverse the polarity, and so when you hit the button, it goes backwards. But this one doesn't have it. This is just a plain Jane Goldwing engine. So this one's got aftermarket pipes on it. It's 3 straight pipes on each side. that was pretty typical with these bikes. A lot of people put DynoJet kits in, and Vance and Hines made pipes and kits back in the day. There's also a K&N filter in there. I really don't recommend K&N filters. They don't filter well for street riding, especially if you live in a dry, dusty climate. You can hold a K&N filter up to the light, and even after it's oiled, you can still see through it. So that's probably all you need to know about K&N filters. So run the stock paper element in it. It's very, they're a little spendy, but they filter, right? And that's what you want. You want your engine to have filtered air going. And typically for every gallon of fuel you burn, you suck in approximately 10,000 gallons of air, and there's a lot of silicate particulate in the air. It's very abrasive on cylinder walls, and it scrubs down the walls. You lose I don't know, maybe 40 pounds a cylinder every 2 years riding, whatever that equates to. I don't know, but it's really bad. K&N filters, don't use them. People recommend, they put them in the trucks, and they're marketed heavily, but they're not a very good filter. So a lot of these bikes back in the day came with DynoJet kits, and they came with Vance and Hines. I can't think of the other names at the moment, but they came with all the needles for the carburetors, and the needles on this one are actually worn out. This is one of the problems with cheap needles. Factory Pro used to be good. DynoJet used to be good, only because there's a lot of support, with DynoJet. But the needles are made of a substandard material on whatever kit's in this. I'm not sure what kit's in it because none of the needles are marked. And again, that's another, drawback of putting a kit in this bike. I mean, and the stock exhaust sounded really good. The stock filter worked really good. The Japanese are really good at making things, so it's hard to improve it in a back alley motorcycle shop somewhere, to be honest. I mean, a lot of tuners and racers out there will tell you different, but then they're racing, so it's a totally different application. When you're doing a cruiser like this and you just want a streetable motorcycle, then just leave it stock. They're so good at building stuff now. So, and then 2 years on, people throw out all the stuff they take out of the carburetors, so all the needles and the jets, and a lot of these kits involve drilling holes up through the slide, and so now you got a different slide rate, the rate at which the slides slide upwards on full throttle, and you get all kinds of grief with these. So just leave it stock, leave it alone, put the stock filter in, and they work great. They work really great. So that's my 2 cents. K&N filters, if you got one, take it out, throw it in the garbage, buy the stock filter, and unless you're racing. If you're racing, see, they're kind of good because you rebuild the engine anyway, so you're going to be able to get more fuel in, more air in, more power, and that's why they do it. So, but on an application like this, completely nonsensical for street riding, and especially if you live in a dusty climate. Some wetter climates like England and the West Coast, North America, Oregon, you can get away with it because it's not as dusty. But if you live in Nevada or Arizona, Alberta up in Canada, it's just so dusty. You need a good filter. Anyways, take that to the bank. That's true story about K&N filters. Hope that helps. But that motor really is awesome. I hope you enjoyed the video. Hope that helps somewhat. Best of luck.